Hairspray is about true celebration, music, joy.
What is it, the waving raven? It's a little twitchy.
The word joy is the best thing to describe it.
It's filled with dancing and singing and having fun.
And you could try to stop my dancing feet, but I just cannot stand still.
It was something I thought up turned into something else in a really, really good way.
This is just so Afro-tastic.
Tracy is a great hero.
Tracy, she's just out there dancing, doing her thing.
Not bad for a white chick.
While entertaining you, it's dealing with very serious issues and very real issues.
It's all about embracing people's individuality and being colorblind. Now you can fight it or you can rock out to it.
And it's just the energy of change and how it will only happen if you push it along.
We will march on WYCP.
Hairspray is all that. It's happy and fun, yet it has a great deal of substance.
You can try to stop the hands of time, but you know it just can't be.
We all should hope and pray that we inside are like Tracy.
This is day one from the set of Hairspray. We're on the streets of Toronto. We're doing Good Morning Baltimore, which is an appropriate way to begin the movie with the first song of the film.
Lock it up for picture.
We've been working on this movie for the last 2 years, and it's great to be here to start this process finally.
Roll 2 cameras.
From what?
And action.
I promise Baltimore that someday when I take to the floor, the world's gonna wake up and see. Gonna wake up and see.
Back to 1.
Craig Zayden and I have a lot of experience in adapting Broadway musicals to film.
Neil and I have been accused of being somewhat partially responsible for the revival of movie musicals. When we started working in Hollywood and we wanted to do musicals, we were told that the studios had no interest in them, that they were dead.
People say, are you crazy? Nobody wants to see a movie musical. We said, we want to see them. We want to do them.
So we went to TV. We had a friend who was running CBS television, and we convinced him to do Gypsy with Bette Midler.
Guess what? Huge success.
We aired the movie, and the next day got a call from Jeff Sagansky, who was running CBS, and he said, the ratings are through the roof. You've changed the landscape of television, because now we can do musicals. That then led to us doing Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella with Whitney Houston and Brandy and Whoopi Goldberg. That movie had 60 million viewers. It was the highest rated movie in 14 years.
So we said, we can't be that crazy if all these people are responding to movie musicals we're making. We did it again. Annie with Kathy Bates, a beloved classic. Oh my God, 3 successes? Do people really hate movie musicals? I don't think so.
And Chicago then, because of its insane success, basically turned the studios around. And everybody said, movie musicals are back.
Many Academy Awards later, people think that movie musicals might be a valid genre. And so here we are at Hairspray.
Neil and I were looking around, and the only thing that we fell madly in love with was Hairspray.
It was a musical that Craig and I saw and absolutely loved, and we thought it would make an incredible movie musical.
It felt different and new, and we felt that it was ripe for reinvention. We knew that eventually it would be made into a movie musical. There was talk of it.
People started saying, oh, it would be a great movie musical. It was obviously a project that New Line wasn't going to let go because we had done the original movie and we had done the show.
There was an announcement that it was going to go forward. A process started where Neil and I sort of auditioned, in a way, for New Line.
One of the first questions was, who'd you cast as Edna Turnblad. Craig and I had talked about it. I said John Travolta. It just struck us that if John played Edna, the movie would turn into an event. The idea worked its way around New Line and caught fire.
And it was at that point that they said, we really would like you to come aboard and do this movie with us. We were really excited about it.
I got wind that they were gonna make it into a movie. In my heart, all I wanted was to be a part of it. If I didn't get the movie, I thought it was gonna kill me. I'd never made a movie with a lot of dancing in it. I hoped an opportunity would come, but I was never certain that it would come. It was just something that I lit a candle and prayed for.
Craig and I set about talking to over a dozen directors.
What none of them had, which Adam Shankman had, was that Adam started as a dancer. He then became a choreographer.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Then he had directed a slew of movies that all were wildly successful. And his specialty was comedy.
It's about the timing, it's about the movement, it's about being able to see things from a choreographic point of view. It's rare you get that all in one package.
No one else could give you that experience.
What Tracy wants to do is dance, and so if I weren't a choreographer, I don't know that I would have understood what it is to want to dance that badly.
And then you turn and you're coming off. When you get off, just pick up this step. Okay? Until all of a sudden the rhythm drops out.
Adam had such passion to do this. His absolute identification with what Hairspray was all about sold us.
The next stage was developing the screenplay.
We didn't just want to do a straight souvenir version of Hairspray, the musical on Broadway. The same way the John Waters film stands alone and the stage musical stands alone, we wanted the movie to stand alone as well.
The process of how we make a movie musical is we honor the original material.
Would you turn that racket down? I'm trying to earn here.
And then we reinvent it for film because it's a whole other medium.
Film is different. What works on stage doesn't necessarily mean that it will work on film.
The audience will not sit still for scenes that go on and on and on and on in the same location. I had to figure out how to cut it up and move from place to place while still having these musical numbers.
Life is like the seasons with no summer.
And also, musicals have to have emotion in them. If the audience can't connect with the theme or the story or the characters, then they're not successful.
This TV thing, you really want it?
With all my heart.
In one respect, it's the same Hairspray, the same characters, the same basic plot.
If you were president, Tracy, what would your first official act be?
I'd make Everyday Negro Day.
It has the gene of John Waters in it. But more than anything, I think that we've created our world. And in a way, the sets and the costumes are heightened reality.
What isn't quite the gritty reality of the real world, you need to very subtly heighten the look of the film. So therefore, when a character bursts into song, it's not unusual.
Woke up today, feeling the way I always do.
For me, the trick was how Tracy never stops hearing music in her head. She walks down the street and no one even pays any attention to her while she's singing.
Good morning, Baltimore.
What you understand is this girl hears this music in her head all the time. You buy that because it's her imaginary world. The audience is gonna just go with you at that point because now they know they're in a musical.
You're gonna pay a heavy price.
I know.
And yet, subtextually, you're dealing with very serious subject matter.
If I can't dance with seaweed in Little Inez, then I don't want to dance on TV at all.
Hairspray seems incredibly relevant to today's audience. The problems that exist in terms of the racial divide in Hairspray still plague us.
We got more reason to be scared on your street.
People judging other people for all the wrong reasons and people having dreams of equality and dreams of acceptance hasn't gone away, so it's relevant.
We're dealing with so many issues. Body image, which is in every single newspaper and magazine that you pick up.
Those TV people, they don't pick people like Tracy or girls like us.
We're always looking for heroes, and especially nowadays to have Tracy Turnblad be a hero, to represent the person that affects change in everybody's lives, is pretty remarkable.
And she's also a girl who completely celebrates her difference and believes in the American dream where nothing is out of reach, and also grows and learns.
The message of the movie is that an outsider can ultimately triumph.
Charlie Mark?
Casting musical is very difficult because musical, it's everything. It's acting, it's singing, it's dancing.
We all had a mind to find actors that had the musical chops, the dancing chops, but fundamentally the acting chops.
I did have to find triple threats in every situation, but that's the nature of a musical. That's why the casting process on a musical is really hard.
We got all these amazing people that we wanted.
Michelle Pfeiffer and John Travolta and Christopher Walken and Queen Latifah. We got very high voltage actors. The wattage could literally light Texas for the next 15 years. The number of Oscar nominations alone is staggering. One of the hardest parts of the casting process was the notion of who are we going to find for Tracy. One of the things that was really important to me was that she be actually 17. I wanted all the kids to really be kids. And Tracy has to be pretty. She has to be able to sing like a powerhouse. She has to be able to dance well. And she has to be a really good actor.
There's a tradition. Tracy's always played by a newcomer.
We devoted the first several months to a nationwide, city-by-city search for the central character, Tracy.
We set up a website where people could learn about what's going on with the movie, and we had a list of the cities we were coming to and an address where they could send in tapes of their auditions.
I said, this is what I have to do. I have to play Tracy Turnblad.
I'll never forget the first time I saw Nikki. She was so pretty. And the smile, there was like this crazy giant smile, and just the truth about the character was just kind of blasting through.
A couple of weeks later, they called and they said, you have a screen test. And I was like, oh my God.
Nikki, take 2, sound speed.
Nikki showed up on that soundstage as though she were born on a Hollywood soundstage.
'Cause the world keeps spinning round and round.
I called everybody and I said, I just have a feeling that it's gonna be this girl, and she's never done anything professional before, and she works in an ice cream parlor.
This little girl was in Long Island working at a Cold Stone Creamery, and her lifelong dream was to be in Hairspray. And she was ready to really turn a star turn.
She's from a real working class family, just like Tracy, and the parallels are too striking.
It was just magic. It was magic for her. It was magic for us.
I can hear the bells. I can't stop the feeling.
Playing a character that's so close to your heart. Tracy feels like one of my best friends. I was dancing and singing as Tracy Turnblad. It was just an amazing experience.
If you believe in past lives, you had to say, okay, this girl came right out of the Broadway theater last lifetime because she knows too much.
One day you're gonna own Edna's Occidental Laundry.
I don't want to be a laundress. I want to be famous.
She'd never taken dance classes, and she's out there dancing like a maniac with a corps of really talented professional dancers, and she's making them up their game.
She is the perfect person for this part. They're so lucky they found her.
Wait till Dad sees you.
Sees me? He never notices what I'll wear.
The character, Edna. We thought, who is the greatest male musical star of our generation? It's John Travolta. John wanted to be sure, if he was going to do a movie musical, that he would do something that would be worthy.
When I met with him, he was not sure why he should do it.
So I said, just tell me why Hairspray is going to work. And Adam Shankman had a very clear vision of what he wanted to do. And I decided that my interpretation of this character would be that I don't want any sign of a man here.
Don't test me, Tracy Turnblad. My doll feels wearing off.
It was months and months and months in the creation of the look for Edna. Tony had to create an Edna that not only could walk around in the streets and really look like a woman, but he also had to create different suits that accommodated different physical needs for the character, because this character needed to dance a lot.
So we designed it and broke it down into a multi-piece makeup so that we could control how it went on, how the pieces overlapped, and how it would move. We knew right off the bat that the makeup was going to need to cover his entire head, just for the sole purpose of hiding his 5 o'clock shadow. He's encased in silicone basically from the eyes down. We took that first makeup to John's house and actually did a test so that we could get his feedback. And at the same time we did the makeup test, we actually took the prototype of the bodysuit and some clothes that we bought at a local store. His bodysuit goes down to his toes. It has foam legs. The guy is completely encased. And John, in looking in the mirror, had an immediate visual reaction and an immediate opinion. He's like, what if she was more of a Rubenesque hourglass? So we actually had a starting point that we could go away with and refine. So we were able to kind of all meet in one place very early on and figure out what Edna was going to be.
I didn't know if it was going to work or not. And when it all got done, I put a nightgown on and I just smiled this big, cheesy smile. I became Edna. She just suddenly lived.
I was just amazed at how real he looked. He has hips and a butt, you know what I mean? And beautiful legs. I'm like, dang, I need to get me some of those.
Once we started shooting, I never saw John again. I only saw Edna.
And he's moving, and it was just a joy to see John Travolta dancing again.
John had to undergo 4 hours of makeup a day and was buried beneath all that rubber, and then do hours of dancing.
If you're dancing like Edna, you can forget all the masculine things. Legs can kick and heads can go back. It's just a state of mind.
He made Edna the most wonderful mom for Tracy.
She's very sweet. The word that's used for this Edna most often is lovable.
Wilbur!
That's the Edna for this movie.
Now that's the way it's done. And I'm your Fay Bell, Miss Motormouth Maybell.
In terms of Motormouth, there was a list of one. It was Queen Latifah.
She's a wonderful actress, and I think the power of her voice has never been put to better use than in this movie.
She plays the latest record, shows all the latest dances. She's sort of a pioneer for her time. Is there some reason we can't pass by peacefully? She sees the youth as a powerful force, and she encourages them. She's sort of the one that lets them know that the world is theirs if they want it.
Maybe we should just march.
Oh, that'd get some big old ratings. For me, it was just about jumping in and having fun. You look forward to coming to work when you're off to go watch someone else shoot a scene because you're excited about it.
To lift us up to tomorrow.
And we're off.
When we thought about the character Velma, we thought of Michelle Pfeiffer because we're aware of her musical abilities from the fabulous Baker Boys.
No one's really seen her sing, and definitely not dance, in a very long time. Hopefully for fans, it's thrilling.
Don't do this, don't do that, remember, Mother knows best.
Velma is stuck in the past and doesn't realize that things are changing around her, and it really is so threatened by that change. On the page, I wasn't so sure about this character because she's so heinous. She's just really evil. You'll stop traffic.
I just loved the idea of having a woman who looked like that playing such an awful, awful person.
Adam encouraged me to try to bring some humanity where I could.
Michelle played the villain of the piece with a real stylish energy.
She's one of these villains that is deliciously bad. A movie's only as good as its villain, I think, and she might go down in history as one of the greatest in this one.
When I need a lift, time brings a gift, another day with you.
Wilbur Turnblad owns a novelty shop, And Chris Walken is like a human novelty shop. I gravitated to him because I knew he was a song and dance man, and because he's such an original actor and always brings an off-center performance. I just thought he was a really great fit.
Chris is an original, and when you're dealing with a piece like Hairspray, you need to keep that originality going.
What he brought to that character is so wacky, and talk about outside of the box.
I don't know anyone like him. The choices that he makes as an actor, the little improvisational things that he does, you can't keep a straight face.
Hi, hon. Wilbur's crazy about Edna. He's a man madly in love after many years of marriage. I kind of think of him as Jack Sprat. His heart only beats for size 60.
They totally committed to that relationship. It was so hysterical to watch.
You're timeless to me.
Hey there, teenage Baltimore! Don't change that channel.
Jimmy Marsden is somebody that people know as this action hero, but people don't know that he has always possessed this glorious singing voice.
The role of Corny Collins really is a new way for the audience to see him.
Corny Collins is like, Dick Clark turned up to 11 with a few dollops of cheese on top.
Jimmy was great as Corny because he really took his cue from the name Corny. I said, yeah, we can make him pretty corny. He's like a game show host.
I watched these DVDs of Sinatra singing live, and a lot of snapping and pointing and winking.
All the corny moves in the book.
And that would be a cut on this shot.
Zac Efron is arguably the biggest teen male heartthrob in the world.
I tell people the cast, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And then I get to Zac Efron, and they're like, no way.
And to have a very sweet teen heartthrob playing a very sweet teen heartthrob who can sing and dance, how hard is that one to figure out?
And I'm Link.
Link is the coolest kid in school. He's got the hottest girlfriend. What happens to him is he is in this relationship and is able to come out of it, and be with someone really out of pure joy for the relationship.
Link transforms. He really sees Tracy for who she is, and he falls for her.
Link learns that it's really about inner beauty, and who cares what the outside world really thinks as long as you're whole in here. Link has a way about him, and it's very similar to Elvis. I spent many nights watching Elvis clips. I would just try and mimic his little head moves, those hip thrusts that he did, and hopefully bring some of my own flair into it.
I'm the lady's choice.
I'm very pleased and scared to be here.
Penny is a real odd duck, and it required somebody unique, original, fresh. And the moment Amanda Bynes came in, we just knew that there was no one else to play her but Amanda.
Amanda's opened movies of her own, has a giant fan base, and she just wanted to play this strange little girl who falls in love with a black guy in 1962.
Oh, Seaweed, you do care.
And she's really funny.
And all the cheese I enjoy.
Speaking of fun,
This cheese my favorite. I'm sort of the best friend that just adores Tracy and would do anything for her.
Penny has a pretty sheltered life with her mom, Prudy. She doesn't let her do many things, but Tracy's always kind of the rebel. It's like, come on, Penny, we're going.
It's a really cool character because she falls in love and has this awesome, sexy boyfriend and gets to change in the end.
I am now a checkerboard chip. Does that dance have a name?
Oh, this? Call it the Peyton Place After Midnight. I use it to attract the opposite sex.
With Seaweed, I wanted somebody who could really, really dance and who danced differently than the white kids.
Elijah has so much charisma, you just can't even believe what you're seeing in the room. He sings and dances like a dream. He's sort of like a young Sammy Davis Jr.
Seaweed J Stubbs, baby. The smoothest cat ever. To research for my character, I looked at the Four Tops, the Temptations, James Brown, the movements I acquired from watching those guys that are legendary.
I mean, please.
Anybody can get grass stains all over their back.
Casting Amber was a really interesting experience because that was one of those roles that was going to be keyed off whoever I cast as Tracy. So when we cast Nikki, Brittany became a really good fit.
What we didn't know at the time is that when you put her next to Michelle Pfeiffer, they looked exactly like mother and daughter.
Brittany just milked every funny moment. I couldn't be happier because she's shown comedy chops that I didn't even know that she had.
I'm calling because I have some information about your daughter's whereabouts.
Amber is the really mean girl in school that tries to make Tracy's life miserable, and she's also the star of the Corny Collins show. She's not really malicious, she's just really bratty. There's no doubts in her mind that she should get everything. You try that again, and there'll be stumps where your feet should be. You got that?
Without that show, I have nothing.
Having nothing builds character.
Allison Janney is hilarious as my mother.
Tracy Turnblad always was a bad influence. Well, you are never, ever gonna see that beehive harlot again.
Prudy doesn't get to sing and dance in this movie. I do get to do some physical comedy, though. That was a lot of fun.
When the casting process came to an end, we had a table read.
I'm not going to do the traditional introductions because I would say most people here sort of speak for themselves.
All of the cast and people from New Line and everybody involved in the movie, the dancers, everybody, sat at a table. We read through the script, and if there was a number, you would stand up and sing live as the character.
The kids were getting up and singing. The dancers would get up and perform a dance number.
Everybody gets to see each person do their thing, and they understand how they fit into this puzzle.
I can hear the bells.
I was the first one to sing, and I'm just sitting there with an audience of John Travolta and Michelle Pfeiffer, you know, and like looking out like, oh, here I go. And
Heartbeat, keeping perfect time.
it was a time for me to say, we all signed on to do this amazing project together. Let me show you what I'm gonna bring to it.
They're kids, Corny. That's why we have to steer them in the right direction. Right direction.
It was just extraordinary, and Queen Latifah sang. And I was sobbing at the end. It was just so beautiful.
In that day, you just literally could feel everyone suddenly really wanting to be a part of this for all the best reasons.
And all that young energy, the dancers and Nikki, and they just brought such a hopeful, innocent energy to it.
I was humbled by it all. It was a really big deal, and it was really, really freaky to have all those people sitting staring at me across the table. Going like, now tell us what to do.
Thank you. From the bottom of my heart.
The whole cast is so cool. We could not be luckier. It's a joy to be a part of it. I love the whole thing.
When I think back on it, I have such fond memories of all of those people. I mean, every single one of them.
They trusted me in a way that I never thought that any actors would ever trust me. And for these very seasoned actors to imbue me with that kind of trust, it's really meaningful. And I think I've grown as a director because I had that trust. For me, the roadmap is the music, and Mark wrote wonderful, high-energy, specific music with Scott.
The grooves of 60s music, rock and roll, or even the Rat Pack style stuff, so infectious and so heartfelt and in your gut.
That is so groovy.
Hairspray, by celebrating that style of music, connects with people.
Mark and Scott created this magical journey through the music. They'd written a great score.
When Craig and I were offered the opportunity to come on board and produce the film, we had to sit down with Mark and Scott in New York. We brought them through how we do our movie musicals, and we wanted to be very, very inclusive of them.
It was exciting when we heard that they're going to make a movie out of the musical, that we would be able to be a vital part of it and be working on it in the same way that we worked on the musical for Broadway. We got to write new songs. It was definitely thrilling.
Anytime you take a Broadway score, especially Hairspray, you want to be respectful of the score. You want the score to be reflective of the time, which in this case is the 60s, but also be relevant to an MTV generation today. You want them to really eat it up and really enjoy listening to the soundtrack.
Boom, boom, boom. When we're writing the musical, I hear in my head what the full arrangement and orchestration would be. But when you work on a musical on Broadway, you have a certain amount of musicians in the pit, and they have to play that whole show in one sitting. Both by their number and by the stamina, you can just do so much, which is a lot. But in the movies, where you just have different recording sessions on different days, I got to have my most fantastical version of all these songs. In the movie, I got to realize them to their fullest extent.
My rhythm section alone is bigger than the entire pit band in New York. So you'll get a much more fleshed out musical experience.
It's just the joy of orchestrating and what certain chords can do and where they're placed within certain instruments.
You did it!
Oh, Tracy, I'm a little lightheaded. There's so much air out here.
It actually gives you a little pang in your heart besides a little tap in your toe.
2, 3, 4.
Okay, good. We had a gospel choir, 24 voices ringing out.
'Cause you can't stop the motion of the ocean. And it's not, 'cause you can't stop the...
That's a sound that you can't really get from 12 people on stage.
Till I heard those drums and I found my way. 'Cause you can't stop the beat.
Recording sessions for Hairspray, which happens before the filming, it's really the first moment where you get that real adrenaline rush of, oh my God, these people are singing these songs and we're making a movie of this. It's just a total thrill.
In the recording studio, we were being barraged with these stars coming through the door, and everyone walked into every recording session fully prepared, made sure they all knew the songs and inside and out, the melody, the timing, everything. When they're up there singing and acting with the microphone, they paint such a vivid picture of what will be happening on the set.
Hey, Tracy, hey, baby, look at me. I'm the cutest chickie that you ever did see.
First day of rehearsal with John Travolta, he's the kind of guy who likes to sing it over and over and over again.
Fabulous.
I mean, so thrilling. It was John Travolta singing something Scott and I had written. It was just surreal.
Your mama's hip, your mama's in.
In Welcome to the 60s, we got to write a new thing for Travolta and Nikki. They have this little back and forth call and response thing.
Mama's lit, she's all aglow.
Where Travolta gets to even more be feeling the freedom of finally letting go and singing.
Okay, here we go, moving on. Baltimore and me.
Woke up today, feeling the way I always do.
The first time Scott and I got to hear and see Nikki, you could see why everyone loved her. She just opened up her mouth and sang, and it was like, oh, perfect. She's just perfect. I mean, how could we be so lucky?
Link, I've got to break out so that I can get my hands on you.
You could put a little more urgency in the word link. Link, I've got...
Her pitch, the tone in her voice is just incredible. She's just an amazing talent for such a young girl, 17 years old, walking into the studio and owning the studio.
Let me listen to that back, because boy, did I like the way she sounded.
Give me a chance, cause when I start to dance, I'm a movie star.
Good Morning Baltimore has always been like my heart and soul song. To take a song that's so wonderfully written and make it your own and have your voice on it was the most unbelievable experience. It was pretty much, it was like tripping out. I was like, oh my God, that's me. That's insane. Yes, that was me singing.
You can't stop the beat ever since we first saw.
You Can't Stop the Beat, which most people refer to as You Can't Stop to Breathe, once they rehearse it. One by one, people would come to the room, and whenever it came to You Can't Stop the Beat, it was just
by the end of the chorus,
You can't stop the beat.
Air, breathe. There's so many words in that song. Let's do the beat.
Beat?
Might as well get the torture out the way.
and then Queen Latifah walked in.
Keep spinning round and round, and my heart keeping time to the speed of sound. Still I heard the drums, then I found my way. 'Cause you can't stop the beat.
Sang it as if she was like swimming and eating a peanut butter jelly sandwich and lifting weights. It was nothing to her. I was like, I can't believe how you just sang that. She said, I'm a rapper. It is nothing to me to sing a lot of words fast. She nailed it from the first time she sang it.
That was fantastic.
Oh my God, how times have changed. These girls must be blind or completely deranged. But time seemed to halt when I was Miss Baltimore Crabs.
Some people don't like that song that's in the Broadway show, Miss Baltimore Crabs. It falls in a funny place in the story. It's a style that's different. So for Michelle Pfeiffer, we wrote 3,000 new songs for the character of Velma. We sent her all the songs, and she said, I just want to sing Miss Baltimore Crabs. That's what I signed up for. I like that song. So it was Miss Baltimore Crabs in the end.
Those poor runner-ups might still hold some grudges. They powdered their cups, but I screwed the judges.
Baltimore Crabs was interesting to record. There was a lot of colors in that song that we wanted to show the audience. Michelle knew that she wanted this character to be a little bit erratic. We went through parts of the song where there was this crazy character, and then there was this character thinking about when she was 18 years old and very reflective. A lot of acting choices, and we let her just take the reins and go with it.
Oh, I hit the stage, but tons of place.
Michelle Pfeiffer in the studio, she just attacked this part 3,000%.
It's not that easy to sing his stuff. I'm saying, Mark, I couldn't even come up for a breath. I cannot sing this fast. And they kept saying, you'll get there, you'll get there.
It's just a joy to hear her sing again. She only sings like once every 10 years. She's like Halley's Comet or something.
Just down with a case of Miss Baltimore Crabs. You may go.
Styles keep a-changing, the world's rearranging, but Edna, you're timeless to me.
Christopher Walken, on the other hand, was kind of shy and reticent and used the recording studio as a way to hear how he wanted to sing it and perfected his vocal performance very much.
You're like a stinky old cheese, babe, just getting riper with age.
He even called me once and said, I want to sing it one more time. I want to have one more session. When I went to cut together what he recorded and see, does it beat what we've already have? And it did. He was right.
You're timeless to me. What gives a girl power and punch? Is it charm? Is it poise? No, it's hairspray.
Jimmy Marsden, his voice is creamy like vanilla ice cream, and he gets the style and the swagger. James Marsden fits these songs to a T.
I could sort of like smooth it a bit, you know? Make it a little more effortless, I think is what corny is about.
He's a crooner inside, but he's a rock and roll crooner.
Each hair will be in place.
I can sing, but it's still hard for me to consider myself a professional singer. So the expectations are low.
Can I get another one?
So when we went in for rehearsals, it was like I got to learn, I got to take class.
Hey, baby, you look like you could use a stiff one. Pretty package you never did see. Take me home and then unwrap me. Shop around, but little darling, I've got to be the lady's choice.
Ladies' Choice. Scott and I always had this idea of a song for Link called Ladies' Choice because in the original John Waters film, Tracy first shocks Amber when she gets on the show. It's Ladies' Choice where she can pick whichever guy she wants to dance with, and of course she goes with Link.
It's gonna take cash to fill my tank.
In the 60s musical, you have to have this kind of number. You know, that rock and roll, record hop, you know, bright colors with the band.
It's actually kind of a dirty song. The lyrics are full of innuendo.
Hey, little girl, spend his free. I don't come cheap, but the kisses come free. For some inspection, I'm sure that you'll agree. I'm the lady's choice.
It's gonna grasp everybody's attention, and hopefully I perform okay.
Zac Efron, he sings so great. great rock and roll voice. He's just perfect.
Zac came in, really wanted to go after the Elvis vibe, and when you see him in there singing, he's swinging his hips in front of the microphone. It was really fun to watch him do that.
How was that?
You can't stop the river as it rushes to the sea.
Amanda Bynes, when she first sang You Can't Stop the Beat, she was a little reticent. And I said to her, Amanda, when you're performing this song in the movie, you are this girl who's for the first time dressed up and in front of an audience, in front of TV cameras, and you know your mother is watching, and you're gonna want more out of yourself when you're on the stage singing. And she just took that to heart.
Okay, good call.
Sang her little guts out.
You can't stop the beat. Ever since we first saw the light, I made a woman like to shake it on a Saturday night.
I just love that whole message of that song. I loved everybody's performance. We sang every day, and it's so fun.
Yes.
You can't stop the beat.
And cut there. And that's where it's at. Now, baby, run and tell that all sugar.
And then Seaweed, Elijah Kelley. He started singing, and his eyes are so expressive, and his voice is phenomenal.
I can't see why people look at me and only see the color of my face. Oh, yeah.
Recording studios, that's my second home. It was a great energy in there. They gave me a little bit of liberty to explore.
But that's good.
Let me get it one more time.
All right.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, now all things are equal when it comes to love. Yeah.
Elijah Kelley's vocal on Run and Tell That, oh my God, it's just flowing through him.
That's where it's at. Now, baby, run and tell that.
That song is really full of passion and energy.
Run and tell that.
Woo! Oh!
Testing, testing.
Brittany Snow, she was kind of like, I don't know, I hope I'm gonna be all right. Singing like she's been singing all her life.
The new girl in town who just came on the scene. The new girl in town can't be more than 16.
She sings a song called The New Girl in Town, which we had written for Broadway, and then it got cut. But in the movies, there's this thing called the montage, of course, and this was the perfect song, The New Girl in Town, for this montage of seeing Tracy becoming famous in Baltimore. And Brittany Snow sings it fantastic. I think she surprised herself even.
You better tell the homecoming queen to hold on to her crown. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Once she heard herself, realized, oh, I can sing pretty good.
Yeah.
We have these incredible cast who all sing so well for the parts they're portraying. I just can't believe how lucky we were. This whole cast could literally go right into the Broadway show. If you do a musical well, there's nothing more joyful and nothing more expressive, because that's the joy of music and lyrics, to express yourself in a way that elevates the mere spoken word.
I Know Where I've Been is such a moving song. We knew we were watching film history happen when we were on a set, and you see all these people marching, singing this song.
That cry in our hearts to lift us up to tomorrow. 'Cause just to sit still with your sin.
And the lyrics are so relevant then and today.
That's why a musical has such great appeal, so people can really, really, really feel what's going on. Hey, now, can you give us some claps there for the end? Here we go.
Five, 6, 7, 8.
Adam Shankman is the director, and Adam Shankman is the choreographer.
He's both because he can be both. He sees scenes as choreography. Everything is a dance to him.
We had a vast experience in staging musical numbers and making musical numbers work on film.
He's a great director and a gifted choreographer. I mean, he'd see me having trouble with something and I wouldn't really know why. I would just keep doing it over and over again, and he would come in and assess it immediately and know where I was making my mistake, and then if I did it wrong, he would beat me.
Good, let's do that again.
He's a director now, but he has been a choreographer his whole life, and a lot of that is the heart of this movie.
I knew that this was gonna work, or at least in my head it really worked, because I felt it so deeply. The songs are so amazing. You have truly fantastic characters. It wasn't like I wanted to do it, I needed to do it. I needed to be a part of this project. In this movie, there's way more dancing than exists actually even in the play. There's just a lot of dancing in this thing. So I had 4 associate choreographers working for me.
Step, turn, step, okay.
It started with me and Anne, which was really cool because we used to dance together. In 1990, we met dancing on the Oscars. She's basically my best friend. Then we invited Joey and Zach.
Maybe the two of you meet, like over here.
And then got Jamal in.
Really get low on that.
We went out and saw about 2,200 dancers between New York, LA, and Toronto. And that's a lot of dancers.
Better come on down and meet the nicest kids in town.
It was really an insane process, narrowing it down. But the kids that I cast, all of them are the right dancers for the movie.
We ultimately hired 150 dancers. Really unbelievable. It's so great to say that you hired so many dancers because you were a dancer and you're like, I'm so happy they're employed.
Hi.
And then we started bringing in the younger cast members, Zac and Elijah Kelley and Nikki and Brittany and Amanda.
Each choreographer had our person to deal with.
Boom, get out, boom, bah. Like have a open.
Right.
1, 2, a hip, hip, hip. 1.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez.
The choreography was a big challenge because there's not a lot of steps from this era that I could draw on as an entire musical vocabulary without getting too repetitive. Like there's a lot of mashed potato and a lot of pony. We dug much deeper into the dances of the era, but what was really important to me was to make sure that it never took on a phony, unorganic quality. I wanted all of the dancing to feel as natural as the singing was. The great thing about doing a movie as opposed to the play is my kids didn't have to sing at the same time for real, and I can cut. I can have them doing things that were more athletic or more aerobic than they actually did in the show. Certainly, what was fulfilling for me as a choreographer was realizing the story as told with the dancing.
Because he touched me, he looked at me and stared. Yes, he bumped me. My heart was unprepared.
What I recognized in trying to see this whole story through Tracy's eyes is there was always needing to be music and dancing going on constantly because that's what Tracy has going on in her head constantly.
Bop, 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 beep, bop. The girls go to the left and boys go to the right.
I started with Nicest Kids in Town.
Ball change, hit, 1. Ball change.
It came out so fast, it was crazy.
Bum, 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 bum is how we have to move them. Yeah.
Because I was so familiar with all the characters and because I knew the music so well, the dance numbers just came flying. The assistants couldn't keep up with me.
He's so fast at choreographing things that you have to catch up with him.
So when we are here is where I want the legs.
Hey there, teenage Baltimore! Don't change that channel, because it's time for the Corny Collins Show.
Sunshine, rain, sunshine, rain.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the 60s.
Welcome to the 60s happened really quickly. I knew that I could get a little more musical theater with that because that reflected Edna's emotional state and how she was suddenly seeing the world.
Welcome to the 60s.
Can't wait to see that at 3:30 in the morning on wet streets.
Roll flash cameras.
Timeless was one of those numbers that I was like, oh boy, I really want to make this number play. It was my idea to do all of these fantasy cuts in it and trying to illustrate the greater scope of their love than just in that house and in the backyard.
We go from tango to Fred Astaire and Ginger type dancing, and he'd allow us freedom to tweak it so it could have the feeling that I wanted to have in it too, because you have to allow a person that's dancing to give their own interpretation. So together we really got to tear up a rug there.
They're just heaven together.
5, 6, a 5, 6, 7, world keeps spinning round and round.
You Can't Stop the Beat is just such a puzzle, and there's so much song, and it grows and grows and grows.
You can't stop the beat. Yeah.
Just had to keep changing shape.
Is that gonna work? Yeah. I don't know if that's gonna work.
You Can't Stop the Beat took a long time.
It was very important that we showed the differences between the styles of the white dancing and the black dancing.
But at the same time show how there was an equal sense of energy, joy, and exhilaration from all sides.
We can tell the story through the script and through the songs, but now we're also telling the story through the dance.
5, 6, 7.
Jamal has done a lot of urban material.
That's the way I want to do it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
I would choreograph things and then explain to him how I wanted it to be different for the detention kids and the Maybell kids.
Even though we're not doing this step the whole time, that feeling that everybody gets when you're doing that should be the feeling that we do through the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So this time, try not to dance as hard.
I just thought it was the right thing to do, to have somebody who is working side by side with me to reinterpret some of my stuff in a more urban way.
One more time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good.
I would love to say that I really struggled with the choreography on this, but it's as if I'd been dreaming about doing it for so many years that it just literally poured out of me.
And then we got to work rehearsing. It was a grueling schedule too. It went all day long, just like the old studio system.
The Corny Collins Council kids started dancing, and then the detention kids were working in another room, and then the Dynamites came in. We had 4 rooms going all day, every day. It was a scheduling nightmare, but it was so cool for me because I got to run from room to room to room to room and go like, no, let's change this, let's change that. And it went on like that for a good 6 weeks before we started shooting, and people were dying. It was really, really crazy.
I've never danced before, so I would spend 5 hours a day in a room with Zach Woodley, and we just stand in there and go over the dances, over the dances. It was a long rehearsal process. It was 2 months, but it was some of the most fun I've had here. I loved getting in there every day and learning something new and coming out knowing that I can dance now. I don't think there's a way that most of us would have been dancing without the choreographers, and there was nothing more gratifying than filming Lady's Choice and to do it the exact way that he always dreamed of me doing it.
Very little dance training. So one of the things that I had to work on majorly for this film was the dance. To sort of master some of those moves was a challenge. It's hard. It's really hard. And it's fun. It's a great way to vibe. Like, that's the great thing about musicals is when 2 characters get to dance and sing to each other on screen, there's just a level of connection that can't be reached by regular dialogue.
Blacker the berry, sweeter the juice. The first day I got here, I was like, okay, nice to meet y'all. They were like, no, you're going to rehearsal. And I did that for like a month, 10 to 6, until the first day I shot. It was a very, very, very challenging process. I've never danced this hard in this style ever in my life. I physically thought I couldn't do it, but all the choreographers worked with me and they put their all into it. I did it, and I feel pretty good about it.
You better lock up your man before he meets the new girl in town.
We have gotten so close with the choreographers because they were with us from the very beginning at our first audition, and they have so much input into our character, and they really help us so much because we're not professional dancers. So we really look to them to make sure that we're getting across exactly what we want to get across. I love dancing, and I really can't wait to show people that, I can dance again.
And if they try to stop us, seaweed, I'll call the NAACP.
Doing a musical is more time consuming than doing a regular movie, but if I could do a musical for every movie, I would be so happy. Something about being in a musical, it's so fun. That's exactly what I want to be all day, like just singing and dancing.
What was so incredible was to watch when the kids would perform a dance number. Everybody was so into it, and that's what made me go, I'm doing the right thing here. This is really great.
Okay, let's do it.
You can't stop the beat ever since we first saw.
You think you can dance, but then you get around real dancers and you like, that's dancing.
It was all so choreographed, and the symmetry of the kids getting together and formations on the floor and everything. And it's like a throwback to an old Busby Berkeley musical.
If anyone was to say, what is Adam Shankman's stamp as a choreographer, this would be it.
This one mattered to him. It was him. And whenever you hear that, you know you have a better bet of the quality going through the ceiling.
Got it.
Perhaps she'd like some complimentary couture?
Couture? In the 60s, people really went out of their way to look stylish. The coolest thing about showing up to work every day is opening up the little closet in my trailer and checking out the new wardrobe.
Some of these outfits, they just remind me of Wonder Woman or something.
When you slip into this dress, it really makes you feel like you're in the 60s.
Very cinched waists and big skirts.
All the girls look like little cupcakes.
I wanted it to look the way you feel when you look in a bakery window. There's tons and tons of resource material. We used a lot of old yearbooks from the period, from Baltimore, and that, of course, really gives us kind of a baseline for the way all these high school kids look. There's the boys' palette, which is dark and shiny, and the girls' palette, which is the kind of sherbety, fruity, for the white kids and for the detention kids. They're in the avocados and golds and rusts and more earthy colors. You think, how is this going to be filmed? What's the camera going to pick up? You see certain kinds of moves and you think, what would enhance that move? How about feathers for this number because they move a certain way? How about sequins because they separate the leading characters from the background? So much of it is very intuitive. You listen to the music, you watch the dancing, and feel it. We build and build and build and build. There are thousands of costumes. That clothing really takes a beating. We have a full-time staff that repairs them constantly. Everything we do is dictated by character, and we try and create characters.
I just wanted to have a little fun tonight.
And present them visually so that when you see a person on screen, you know what that person's about. John wanted to be a little bit sexier. He wanted to be a real female character and not perceived as a man playing a female.
Hey, Tracy, hey, baby, look at me.
We went to pictures of Sophie Loren, and Sophie Loren had always very low-key clothing because she had something to show, so you didn't care about the clothes, you just cared about her. So I said, let's go more that way.
John wanted to look like older movie icons, Jane Russell, all those beautiful stacked babes. This was Edna's tango dress, and she got to stick her little prosthetic leg through the hem. Tracy's look is traditional, white blouses, skirts, simple. It's urban and inexpensive.
They hit the nail on the head with the costumes, so true to the time period, 1962. And I am so proud to wear these clothes.
Well, looks like y'all took a step out of bounds.
Maybelle is a funky diva. We started out earthy, hence the leopard. We wanted stuff that moved very fluidly with her. So she's in a lot of very drapey stuff. Even the gold and the feathers at the end, they really move when she walks around.
They're sexy and they're soulful at the same time, and they have all these wonderful vintage pieces of jewelry for me to wear. It's just a look.
Save your personal life for the camera, sweetie. Oh, shiny.
We just had to involve the Von Tussles.
I think my costumes are genius.
Velma is always quite dressed up in mean, straight silhouettes. The highest heels, the pointiest shoes, edges. We were wanting a very icy palette for her, into using much hotter colors. If we want to talk about Miss Baltimore crabs, we should really look at the tutu. Very patriotic, red, white, and blue. Michelle and I agreed that that would be pretty funny. And here's her little crown, which is all crab claws.
Baby, good job dancing today.
One thing Adam said very clearly, I want Amber to look like a cupcake every time we see her.
You get to wear huge dresses with crinolines, and you kind of can't move through doorways because it's so big. It's like playing dress up. You feel like you're a princess.
Here's some of our little mother and daughter ensembles. We chose these just because they were so inappropriate. It just said a lot about Velma and Amber that they would be wearing their mink-trimmed cocktail dresses in the afternoon, plotting how to get Tracy off the Corny Collins show.
Thank you so much. You're such a great friend. My character is sort of frumpy.
Penny's clothes are pretty ill-fitting. They don't define her figure at all until this dress that she appears in at the end, which is a very sexy dress. Adam and I talked, now where would this costume come from? I thought it might be interesting if it were made from her bedroom curtains. My favorite detail is that we used the valance from the curtains and hung it from these curtain rings.
Rita, what do you think of the length?
It's pretty perfect.
Very shiny.
We built all of Corny's suits, a lot of link. What was really prevalent and coming into fashion at the time for men was the JFK Ivy League 3-button. And there was a very elegant sort of Brooks Brothers way to do that. And then there's the Baltimore way to do it, which is shinier, pointier shoes. It's a little more flamboyant, really fun. I just wanted the clothes to tell the story and define the characters, which I hope they do.
What gives a girl power and punch? Is it charm? Is it poise? No, it's hairspray.
I really wanted to do Hairspray. When you think Hairspray, it's all about hair. I got so incredibly excited. I thought, what a coup. Imagine a hairdresser having an opportunity to show what they do. But looking at the numbers of people, 1,500 extras altogether and 300 dancers and all these different situations, it was a serious challenge. I did a lot of research on 1962, and you think, oh my God, they really did wear their hair like that.
It's very big.
Really high hairdos, beehives. The flip was very, very popular. Everything pulled back with curls on the top. Very fussy hair, like big and curly. Just a lot of hair.
I think it's a good look.
In the 60s, people would sometimes wear this look for at least a week. They weren't getting their hair shampooed every day. They used to talk about people having spiders living in beehives. I don't think that was true. With the guys, of course, you want a slicked back hair. Fabian looks and Elvis Presley.
Very cool.
The hair that was wearing them, really.
I couldn't even, fathom doing this on my own.
They all were so into their hair at that time.
Here, we're gonna try my wig, so I'm very excited. And I can't wait to get it on because then that's when the party gets started.
When you design a wig, you have the character in mind totally. And then all of a sudden, the real person comes in who is supposed to be this character. Fortunately, Nikki was fabulous. She just slid her head under that wig and she was Tracy.
Tracy has entered the building, kids.
Oh no! What? Your hair deflated.
I've gotten used to my hair. I don't know what I'm going to do without hair the size of a couple of watermelons.
When I thought about Motor Mouth, I thought, well, she did have to be kind of bigger than life, so why not have her be a blonde?
I've had my hair lightened, I've had it dark, and I've had things in between, but I never had it platinum blonde.
So out come a few blonde wigs and beehives, and she said, hey, that looks all right.
I've enjoyed being blonde. It brings out a whole nother vibe in me that I didn't even know I had.
Zac had the longer kind of surfer hair. I dyed his hair very dark brown and cut it short.
Then when we had to slick it back, I really didn't know who I was. I was looking around, it was like identity crisis for a few minutes.
Then with the 60s clothes, the very narrow suits and everything, he looks gorgeous.
I've really gotten used to it. Since I'm here in the 60s, I'm gonna try and rock it. I'm gonna rock it well.
Penny is such a kooky, perky character that I was just trying to think of a combination of hairdos for her. Like Tracy has the high hair on top and Penny is her best girlfriend. So I thought, I want her to get that little mound on the top too. But her mother's very strict, so I thought I'd put these little pigtails there so she would look younger. And then I twirled the back and a little chignon, so she saw that in a fashion magazine once and thought, I'll try that. Maybe my mother won't notice. Seaweed, we did his hair.
I'm about to get finger waves.
I said, I think we've got to do something kind of really different, so we straightened it, relaxed it, and did a real wavy look that just made him look so handsome.
Looking good.
When he saw it, he said, oh, I rather like this. I had to think of what am I going to do with Amber. Her whole character was kind of like Sandra Dee and Lana Turner combination. I thought we should do a very soft ivory blonde, little bit over the top, glamorous, like fashion looks.
Kind of looks like a cross between like Whoville, like Dr. Seuss, and like a poodle.
There's so much back combing, so to newer hairdressers that have never really done it before, we were starting to teach back combing. Hold the hair firmly and just push all the hair into the roots. And it's better to have a fine-tooth comb. And they got very, very good at it, just out of necessity.
She's actually taught me how to back comb.
Because there's a lot of back combing going on in 1962. When you're doing a show with dancers, if there's movement in the body, you want there to be movement in the hair. We would set it in such a way that it would keep the shape on top, but if they shake their head, the bottom has got to move. Sometimes I would put a wig on and turn upside down, shake my head, look in the mirror and say, oh, that'll work, or oh, back to the drawing board. I didn't want to really go over the top like the stage show because it was just so big and so pink, which is great for stage because you don't have that intimacy like you do on film. I just wanted them to look like people might look in that period. They're all different and they're fun and they're interesting and extreme. That's the fun of making a movie like this. You get to show people what was actually going on. We used so much hairspray. We ordered it in cases. The air was full of the stuff. The movie's called Hairspray, so what are you gonna do?
Breathe it in.
The process for me as a production designer on the film Hairspray begins by kind of a trip to the library to start researching Baltimore in 1962. We shot the film in Toronto. There is a kind of spirit to the architecture here and to some of the specific neighborhoods here, that even though it was in Baltimore, it was the Baltimore of Hairspray.
David Grossman did an enormous amount of research of the era and of Baltimore at that time. The streets of Toronto will be unrecognizable on film.
We've created our world, and our world is a world that allows you to sing and dance.
I will definitely have that salmon color coming in, and lots of the wood. The most important thing, I always think, is to be inside the director's head. Adam very much did not want this to look at all like a Broadway musical. He didn't want the look to be exaggerated in any way. He wanted a very real world.
I'm ready to go. The rats on the end. So stop for a second. So then we cut around, we see the rats, a shot of the rats.
The commercial exterior was definitely the hardest of the set, and only because there were so many pieces to that puzzle. There were roughly 60 exteriors which had to be converted to Baltimore circa 1960.
Hi. It's my daughter.
A major story point is the fact that Wilbur owns a joke store. Because there's a dance number that takes place in here, the first consideration in sort of figuring out the layout of the store was being able to be danceable, and then just fill it with all this wonderful set dressing. The whoopee cushion plays a role in the story.
Daddy!
It wasn't me. I had to improvise a bed out of something.
You've got your vomit, which also known as glop, and I think that's called doggone it.
It's always really fun to kind of go into Edna's world, and Edna's world is laundry.
This is the Turnblad backyard. It was just a matter of how we were going to place the laundry lines and play with the ground plan with Adam till we found good traffic patterns for his choreography. We knew we wanted to create a very realistic looking backyard, but at the same time have complete flexibility for Adam and for the cinematographer. So we came up with the idea of flying the scenery out.
And now, broadcast live in front of a live studio audience.
What we're looking at now is the Corny Collins show as it's been put together for the Miss Teenage Hairspray competition, because the story is really about looking toward the future or decorating it with our sort of space age design elements, the Sputnik light fixtures, the rocket that Tracy arrives on. Adding some sparkle, but keeping it very much the same world of Corny Collins and the same world of our film, which is a very sort of naturalistic, honest feel. Every film has different requirements. This had the added requirement of dealing with choreography. The floor itself was very important. You have to worry about how the dancer's feet moves on the floor. You have to worry about how the floor sounds under their feet. I like to keep things simple so that the words and the actors can tell the story first, not the scenery behind them. You just sort of pay attention to details. And if you have a good construction team and good painters, then hopefully we create the effect. I'd like to think that I'm not so much creating sets as worlds for the story to take place in.
You guys, it's about to get nuts. I love you all. Thank you so much.
Fortnite Delta take 1, it'll work.
Everybody says that a guy who's such a gem won't look my way. Well, the laughs on them, 'cause I can hear the bells.
Cut. Okay, let's do. Check the gate!
Check the gate! You check it! Gate's good, I called it. Wrap it up!
The one thing that I'm gonna miss most is working with people who've not only taught you so much as an actor, but who have become your friend along the way.
It's ribs. Oh, why you don't want to eat the ribs?
We become like a family.
It's the hand. Just bounce. You can feel it when you're on set that everybody's here because they want to be here. They really love the music, and they really love their characters, and they want to give the audience something to cheer for.
It was a collaborative effort. Musicals are. It's everyone at full throttle. That's the magic of a musical, and it's too bad you don't do them very often, but they are a lot of fun when you do them.
You can't wait to shoot. There's a constant energy on the set that's just different from most movies. I love it.
Everybody worked incredibly hard. They all understood that it was really out of that desire to make it be the best that it possibly could.
I have a new respect for every musical that's ever been made. It's not easy. When people see this movie, I really hope they respect the work process that everybody put into this.
I learned so much. I felt so much. I was so moved. It's been such a joy.
The sense of collaboration and the sense of family has been the best experience. I love it.
And Adam has so much passion that you feel it.
Making musicals, hey and ho, we're making a musical. You can't imagine how meaningful it is to be a part of this whole Hairspray continuing tradition. It's this endless line of reminding people what's good about being good and how special everybody should feel in their heart, no matter how outside they feel. We are all bonded by our combined differences. That's really what this is all about.
All right, let's get a position for the cast and crew photo, guys. Everyone in. Yeah, okay, great. All right, good. And again, one more. That's it. Thank you very much. Grease, and I thought, well, it's been 30 years. I better make sure it's a good one.
It's my first premiere in a blonde wig, so yeah, I think I gotta keep trying new stuff, you know what I mean? Keep it spicy.
I've had more fun on this movie than any movie I've worked on. I'm not saying that because I'm supposed to talk good about it right now because we're at the premiere, but it really was.
Everybody just kept this sort of very enthusiastic exuberance about it. It was fantastic.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the process of making this movie and standing here right now. I can't believe it. It's a dream come true. I'm one of the most fortunate guys in the world and in this business.
It's just been these series of things that were kind of meant to be. Meeting Michelle, meeting the cast. Some of my best friends are now the people that I worked with. And now here I am, and it's been an amazing experience.
This was our fantasy. We thought if we get the cast, eventually there may be a red carpet. If there's a red carpet, we got a lot of stars coming down that red carpet.
It's unbelievable.
Complete dream come true for both of us. It's the thing that we both wanted to do when we were growing up, when we were little boys.
What a fantasy to write a musical, and it's actually the one that John Travolta chooses to make a movie at return, and it's great.
The fact that this has happened to me is almost unimaginable. Still, in a weird way, I'm really nervous. This is crazy. I've sat with a couple different audiences, but the response is always the same. Love, love, love. Yeah, I really want this to be a good time.
The motto of Hairspray is go big or go home, and we're not going anywhere.